All right, guys, so today I'm just going to do a little bit of a project here. I've taken off the plastic cover that sits atop the engine right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mask it off and I'm going to paint it crinkle red in homage to some of the older Hondas that had that nice crinkle red finish. Excuse the mess, I just moved not too long ago. So what I did so far is I actually took the cover off. I washed off all of the dirt or dust from it. I gave it a light scuff just to help the paint adhere. And right now what I'm doing is masking it off. So at this point, I mean, it's really up to you as far as what you want to paint if you decide that you want to do this. I thought there's a little pocket right here, which I'll show you here in a second whenever I'm done masking this off and cutting it out. There's the Earth Dreams logo that obviously I don't want painted. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to leave this section black. And I'll probably do the Honda in white lettering. That's still up for debate at this point, but this is going to get masked off so that it stands out in black. Other than that, I'll show you here in a second. This is the paint that I'm using. It is VHT High Temperature Wrinkle Plus, and it gives you a wrinkle finish. There's tons of videos online as far as how to use this paint, maybe not specifically for this cover or even the red, but there's a black one out there that a lot of people have been using as the crinkle finish. But the goal is today to get this sprayed onto this plastic covering and we'll go from there. So I'm going to show you guys here in a second what it looks like after I'm done masking this off. All right, so this is the pre-paint product. So again, I have the Earth Dreams logo masked off. This section right here is also masked off because it's going to be black, while the rest of this is going to be the crinkle red. And then I've masked off this section here with the Honda letters that were raised, along with the side of it here. Everything else is going to be painted in that crinkle red. And as far as the lettering goes, I have one of those Sharpie pins that a lot of people use on the tires to do the white tire lettering. I might use that on the top here. I'm still undecided. I may even hit it with red lettering there, but I got to see the final product before I make a decision on that. But for right now, this is what it's looking like. So I'm going to show you guys stage by stage as I paint this, and then you guys can get an idea of how to do the crinkle. Now the thing with the crinkle, now it tells you on here specific instructions, you know, as far as how to do it and how to get the crinkle. From what I saw online as well, especially from the people that created this paint, that did their own YouTube, you're going to want to spray it, and you're going to want to basically spray the coats between 5 to 7 minutes. The moment that it starts to dry is when you're starting to get that crinkle effect. So what I'll do is I'll probably hit it with probably at least 3 coats. While they're still semi-wet, I'll hit it with like three coats. On the 4th coat is when I'll do the final coat with the final pass nice and thick, and then I'll probably have the heat gun out at that point, and I'll probably use the heat gun to start the process a little bit quicker. That way you guys can kind of see that crinkle stand out. Some of the videos that I saw, people that use the heat gun, they were able to get a nice crisp crinkle to it, which is what I want. I want it to be pronounced. I want it to look good, and that's the way to do it. I may even start on coat 3, where after I lay the 3rd coat down, I let it dry for 10 minutes and then hit it with the heat gun, let that come back down to room temperature, and then spray it again with the crinkle. That way it's really pronounced. But I'm about to show you guys what that looks like here in 1 second. All right, guys, so as you can see here, it is nice and scuffed up all over. I did use a Scotch-Brite pad I found underneath the sink. Don't tell my wife, we haven't used it yet. Now, when you're applying this, it does state on the can, first coat needs to be vertical, 2nd coat needs to be horizontal. So up and down, then left to right, third coat is diagonal. I made this little makeshift kind of like ramp, so it kind of sits up to the side, but I'm gonna hold it and paint it up vertically this way, just so I can get some of these areas that I may not be able to get while it's laying down. So either way, I may be breaking the rules here as far as how to paint it, but you know, this is my cover, so I'm gonna let it rip. Let's do this backside real quick. Cool, so we're gonna let that dry 5 minutes. We'll come back, I'm gonna tack it again, and then we'll go from there. All right, time for coat number 2. Coat number 2 done. We're gonna let it sit for another 5 minutes and then do coat number 3. All right, guys. So coat number 3. Going on right now. This one's supposed to be diagonally. Just gonna do this real quick. I know this is not diagonal, but this is a hard spot to get. So okay. Maybe with the light so I can see a little better. So right now what I'm doing is, you can probably not see it very well on the camera, but there's a couple of pinholes you can see here. I guess just from the way that the pin has been drawing, but I'm trying to fill those in, so I'm going a little bit thicker in these spots. That's it. So I'm gonna let that dry, probably about, we'll say 7 minutes, and then I'm gonna do one final coat. I'm gonna start hitting it with a heat gun to see if I can bring it out. Right now, let me pick up this. This is what you're seeing. So there's one of those pinholes I was telling you about. Now right now, the paint is gonna dry, and per the label, it's gonna look glossy, and what I need to do is just allow it to cure. So this is where I'm at right now. So far pretty good. I mean, it looks good. We just gotta let it pop up and crinkle. So I'm going to check back in here in a second, and we'll see if this is crinkling or not. And again, I plan on hitting it with a heat gun. Just make sure I didn't get any paint on my garage. For all you that are married, you know, the wife will, she'll get mad. She'll be a bitch. I'm trying to avoid that so I can build my car in peace. So, let's see what happens next. All right, so here is, it's not the finished product, but it's the first part of this process. You can see how there's some runs there, kind of pronounced. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this dry. I'll probably let it dry for at least 24 hours. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna hit all this again to see if I can build up another layer. But so far it looks pretty cool. I mean, you guys can already tell it's got that wrinkle finish. It's not, I don't want to say it's not wet, but the top part of it's not. It's wrinkled already. It's a little soft because I had the heat gun on it, but that's pretty much it. I mean, that's what your finished product's going to look like. I do highly recommend that you guys maybe do it in 4 or 5 smaller coats. I tried to get it all done in 3 coats like the can suggested, and the paint came on a little bit thick. And then obviously there were some areas that I was, doing some overspray to try to get out some of those little pinpricks. But take your time. Take your time, let it build up. It's going to come out pretty good. I'm going to work on this a little bit more, and I'm going to come back and show you guys what it looks like when it's finished. All right, guys, so this is where we're at. I've let the cover dry for about 24 hours, and I just hit it with one final coat of paint. This is probably my 5th coat. I hit it with one coat of paint probably about 5 minutes ago. I'm going to hit it with a heat gun right now, and then we're going to see if we can get the wrinkle to be a little bit pronounced. And I'll show you guys the final product here in a second once I'm done using the heat gun. All right, guys, so I did the final coat of red. I hit it with the heat gun, and then I pulled off the masking tape that was covering the black parts, the Earth Dreams section. And now I've started to put white lettering on the cover itself where it says Honda. I'm using this Sharpie oil-based white pen. A lot of people use this for tire lettering. I used it back in the day for my Yamaha R6 to do the tires, and I had this left over. I've done 2 coats already, and I want to show you guys what it looks like. That's what the valve cover looks like in the crinkle red. I'm going to hit it with probably another 2 coats right there, and then that'll be it. I'm going to go ahead and install this on my vehicle. Now, putting it inside the engine bay, that's going to allow all of these paints to finally heat up and cure the proper way. It says that you should put this particular red paint in the oven. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't know how this will stand up to the heat. Obviously, it's inside an engine bay, so it probably stands up to pretty high heat, but I'd feel comfortable just putting it in the engine bay and letting everything cure the proper way. So I'm going to do a couple more coats. Again, this is the Sharpie oil-based pen. You can find this pretty much anywhere. Walmart. We have a Hobby Lobby down here. It's a hobby store, probably at Michael's. But again, I've done 2 coats already, and they're real light coats. You can see there's some black still showing through where the Honda's at. But once I hit it with the 3rd and the 4th coat, as soon as I'm done with each letter, I'll pull the paint gun out and I'll dry it real quick. That way, it solidifies. But I have a couple more to do of this, and then we're going to go ahead and put it on the vehicle. In the meantime, check out that crinkle. That's the crinkle red. I like it so far. So far, so good. All right, so stay tuned. All right, guys, so this is the finished product. Go ahead, do it. It'll look real good.